Welcome everyone to the program. This is Economic Preppers. I'm your host today, Jeff, and my Twitter information is right there. As I remember, point to my right shoulder, get this right. You'll see stuff going across the bottom here for more information about Economic Preppers. Stay tuned to this space to a lot more announcements coming shortly. But before I get into all that, we'll do that another time. I wanted to get an important story because as I sit here recording this on New Year's Eve, that's how dedicated I am to getting you the right news. I was telling you several times before that sometimes they slip news under the radar, especially around holiday time. And this is one of those things. Now, I haven't talked about the BRICS alliance for a while, but on January 1st, again, Happy New Year, 5 countries are officially joining the BRICS. Now, it was supposed to be 6, but there's only 5. So I'm going to share my screen, talk about the 5 and 6 countries. The 6th country is what some news organizations are going to emphasize. So let me share my screen and point some of this stuff out. So there's lots of different stories that are out there if you look for them to cover this. Argentina was one of the 6 countries. Now, Argentina, as I mentioned several times before, they elected a new president, Javier Milei, who's a libertarian. And honestly, the economic world in the West does not like what he's doing because he's basically tearing up he's just ripping up their current government and starting from scratch, working on redoing the economy. And they really don't like it. So that it's possible that he may even take down the central bank of Argentina. We'll see how that happens. But an announcement came out this past week, right before the end of the year. The last business day was released. I think it was written a few days in advance. But a letter from Javier Milei's office said that Argentina is not joining the BRICS alliance as was originally discussed when they met in August. So first off, let me talk about the 6 that were on the table here. So here's the Reuters article from 4 months ago when the 5 leaders of BRICS, and if you don't remember what those are, it's an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They met in South Africa. So those 5 countries all met, and there were lots of countries that were trying to get into the BRICS. There was no formal way of applying. They just kind of let them know they wanted to join. And they accepted 6 countries. They accepted Argentina, Egypt, Iran, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. So they were all allowed to join, and they would become official members of the BRICS alliance on January 1st, which is today. Now, Argentina just released news that they're not going to join, and the different news publications that's out there are taking different spins on this story. So I'll get to that and what I think is going on in a minute, but let me share some of the different headlines that are out there. First, you got the Voice of America saying Argentina won't join BRICS alliance and Milei's latest policy shift. You have other publications saying Argentina, Milei rejects BRICS. That's a harsh statement. That's not necessarily true. Argentina's firebrand leader, again, adjectives. They don't need an adjective in the headline, but they chose to do so to put a slant to it. So just take out the adjectives and just say Argentina's leader. It's not even this is so inaccurate. Argentina's firebrand leader, Milei, deals huge blow to Russia and China. It's not a blow to Russia and China at all, but that's how they chose to position this particular announcement. This one, Argentina president withdraws BRICS application, unveils diplomatic changes. That's pretty even-handed there. Argentina formally announces it won't join the BRICS alliance and Milei's latest policy shift. Argentina's new far-right president, which he's not, he's libertarian. That's not far-right. Ditches it's conservative socially. It's a combination of conservatism and liberalism. So far-right is a bad characterization of libertarians by the strict definition of libertarianism. But Argentina's new far-right president ditches BRICS to support U.S. and Israel. Again, picking pieces of the story to give their own slant. Now, again, it was announced back 4 months ago. Let me drop out of here. I'll try to put links to these. You can find tons of these different stories out there. But what I wanted to talk about is what Argentina is doing, why they postponed this. If you dig down into the article and just read the quotes, what are actually said by Milei's office, what was actually in the transcript, he reached out to all 5 leaders of the 5 nations and said, hey, we already have relationships, and I want to continue with those trade. The purpose of BRICS is for establishing trade agreements and trade relationships. He said that we want to keep those relationships, especially with a border country like Brazil. Brazil borders Argentina. So it makes perfect sense that, first off, they already have a good relationship with them, and they want to keep working with them. but they delayed formally joining BRICS because they didn't want to alienate all the different other countries they're trying to work out trade agreements. Most notably, if you go back to the list of 6, you have a lot of African and Middle East countries that are represented there. You've got the UAE, you've got Egypt, you've got Iran, you've got Saudi Arabia. You've got a lot of hotbed type locations. Ethiopia, not so much, but you get the idea. Joining BRICS right now could be disadvantageous to Argentina striking new trade agreements where they're trying to work out new contracts, maybe do stuff in Bitcoin or other currencies. They are basically redoing the entire economy in Argentina. So they don't want to restrict them or put constraints on what they're doing based on what the legacy of the previous leadership that was in place in August that said we're going to join BRICS. They don't want to do that now. They say we may want to do it later, but hey, they sent the letter to all 5 leaders of all 5 countries and said, we want to maintain good trade agreements. We don't want to formally join BRICS right now. We want to push that off if you don't mind. We're not going to join that right now because we want to establish our own economy, get our own house in order, and work on individual country relationships and trade agreements. That makes perfect sense, but they're going to politicize the story and saying like they're going to target first Argentina and Malay, who's already a target in the media right now because they don't like that he's revamping the economy and trying to get away from the current fiat system to something else and using things like Bitcoin and other alternatives to try and stabilize their economy and potentially removing their own central bank. So Argentina's getting their own house in order, but the media is going to cover it such that this is first a ding against Argentina, a knock on Malay, and then eventually harmful or a detraction to the BRICS alliance itself, even though 5 out of 6 nations are already joining them with lots of trade routes, lots of resources and oil countries that are joining. So this is not a blow to the BRICS alliance whatsoever, but that's how the media is going to portray it. So just be forewarned and forearmed, and knowledge is power. That's what they're going to try and talk about with the BRICS nations. Argentina needs to restructure their own economy before they even think about joining a much larger formal trade alliance like the BRICS nations. So just want to put that out there. Look for those stories to come out. And there'll be all kinds of different slants in the Western media that's going to say like, BRICS is having problems, or BRICS and Argentina and Malay are problematic and not doing well. It's going to take time for Malay to sort out things in Argentina and get their economy rectified and fixed. That's not going to happen overnight. Certainly not going to happen within a month or so of him just getting into office. So it makes perfect sense to defer joining BRICS, but this is not a detriment to the BRICS alliance whatsoever. But look for this news to trickle out. 5 countries did join BRICS. That's the real point of emphasis. BRICS just doubled in size. Now we've got 5 more countries. Now there's 10 nations in BRICS. And a lot of Middle Eastern countries, a lot of trade routes, a lot of different resources are there. That's what they don't want you to focus on. They want you to focus on Argentina not joining. So what are your thoughts on this story? And again, I want to wish you all a Happy New Year, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.